World, what's up? What is up, world? Today, my guest is Sofia Jones from Penny House, who's a financial wizard and guru. But first, a few words from our sponsors, Endless Fugitive. They make amazing casual clothes that not only looks good, but feels good too. And if you use the promo code World, what's up, you can get a 10% discount. So why not check them out? Hello, Sofia.
Hello.
It's so nice to see you again and see that lovely smile. I'd like to say, I normally like to say a few things about how I met people when I do these interviews. We met at Cheltenham on a random race day, and we just got on right from the start. We had an amazing time and such a good laugh. It brings a smile to my face when I think about it. And since then, we've met on a few occasions now, and it's always lovely to spend time in your company. So let's get on with the interview. Let's start with the first question. Tell us a little bit about your early life growing up and what you wanted to be when you were a little girl.
So I actually started, so I actually was born in Portugal, not England. My mum died soon after I was born. So I spent the first couple of years of my life in an orphanage in Lisbon. And I was then adopted by English parents when I was 2. Obviously, I don't remember any of this because I can barely remember what I did yesterday. But I was adopted when I was 2. And I then came to the UK when I was about 6 years old. So they're kind of the early years. And I remember some really good memories of leaving school and going to the pool. And, you know, it's obviously very hot in England today. Kind of just on days like today, we just go off to the pool after school, and it was lovely. But in terms of what I wanted to be when I was a little girl, I think I wanted to be many things. Maybe just fiercely independent. I think from even as a toddler, so I'm told, was quite lively. Is how they describe me. But I think I wanted to be kind of a vet and then like a doctor and all those professions that are held in quite a high regard when you are, I think even now, you know, when you're a kid, they're the ones that are held. But I don't think I really knew what I wanted to do for a very, very long time. Or even, have days now where I could still question it, you know?
So you say you came over here when you were, was it 6, did you say?
When I was 6, yeah.
And you've mentioned before that sometimes the transition wasn't that easy, that you suffered with some bullying in those early days. How did you deal with that?
I don't really know how I dealt with it as a 6-year-old. So when I came to the UK, I was a little bit different. Kids are just mean, aren't they? Kids are just so mean, and it's worse now with social media, and we didn't have that back then. But I just remember them being just mean. So primary school, don't really know how I dealt with it, but I think it started a kind of trend of feeling excluded from a lot of social groups and just not really fitting. I never really fit in. And as a kid, all you want to do is fit in. So my name's Sofia, but I kind of changed it to Sophie so that I was more English, and stopped speaking Portuguese and all these kind of things just to try and fit. And then kind of secondary school, that developed a bit more, because then you know, kids get meaner as they get older. I think I'm not really sure what it's like now.
No, they were pretty mean even in junior school, because I had a similar sort of thing, because I went to school in Highgate, and it was like quite possible. I don't know how my mum managed to get me in there, and I was like one of only 2 black kids in there, so it was brutal for a long time, you know. But you just like try and stay under the radar, and you do whatever you can so you don't get affected, or but as a kid, it's going to affect you, especially at those early formative years. It makes a big difference in how you perceive things as you get older, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it really does. I mean, hindsight's such a wonderful thing, isn't it? I think you can always look back and everything's sliding doors. So you look back and you just think, that's kind of what made this happen. That's what made this happen. But I mean, I kids deal with it different ways, don't they? I think I then just became the class clown to kind of try and be one of the cool ones. I wasn't one of the cool ones. I tried to, and it just meant I was just excluded even more, and then got in a bit of trouble at school, and yeah, it wasn't great.
So what made you decide, right, I need to, get my head sorted and settle down a bit now?
Well, I guess following on from the kind of naughty-ish child that was excluded at school, I then became pregnant fairly young. So I had my son at 16, and having not been to school for quite a while, because I was kind of very patchy attendance record, let's say, I went and sat my GCSEs 2 weeks after giving birth. Somehow, I don't know how, managed to get some half decent grades that got me through. And it was having my son really that just drove me and just made me realise that I really wanted more. As a kid, obviously I was adopted, and my parents really, when they came back to England, struggled financially to kind of keep a roof over our head and that kind of thing. So I just really wanted to do a bit better for him, and I didn't want to be a statistic. So I've got him to thank, and my parents, for a lot, I think.
So where did you get that drive from? Because there's a lot of like single mums who don't just say, right, I want to go somewhere, I want to achieve something. Where do you think that came from in you?
I don't really know. I just think as you get older, you kind of realise that people are just made in different ways, and people deal with things differently. And I think I need a challenge. I need a bit of pressure, and I need a bit of challenge. Which half drives me mental and half drives me. So it's kind of learning to embrace that, I think. But it's just the makeup, perhaps.
So tell us about how you did go about making those changes.
It wasn't particularly easy, but it was never going to be, and nothing really is it? So as I left school, I had various people tell me that I was going to go and work in McDonald's and house and that kind of thing. And I mean, I was a pretty chunky monkey back then, with buck teeth and whatever. So anyway, won't go there. But yeah, my life had already been,
You had to send us some pictures.
I think they've all been burnt, Andy. Like just a horrible bonfire that happened. So sorry about that. Yeah, so I think a few people had already mapped out my life for me, which is really kind of them. And you do start believing that, don't you? So I had to, because I started doing A levels actually to try and get a bit further in education. But I tell you what, it was hard going back then. Because I was 16, trying to get the little boy to nursery and stuff, and I ended up doing one of these open university courses to give me the qualifications to then get me to give me enough to then get into university. So I decided that every job description that I was looking at said need a degree, and I thought, right, well, I'm gonna get one of those because everyone thinks I can't. So I did one of these open university courses, and then ended up going to Oxford Brookes to kind of start that journey.
That's fascinating. Anyway, and that can't have been easy, like, as you say, bringing up a small child and going to university. How did you manage it?
As much as I was a single mum, I wasn't a single mum. I had my parents were absolutely wonderful. So I moved back in with them when I was, I don't know how old I was, 18, maybe 19. And I just kind of put my son to bed. And then I was then able to go off to the library until 3 a.m. in the morning, and then come back and then take him to school. If I was actually a single mum, there's no way I would have been able to do that. You can't just leave a toddler on their own, can they? Can you? So it was hard going, it was hard work, but I think once I knew what the end goal was and where it was hopefully going to get me in some sort of direction, then it was doable. And yeah, I owe my parents everything. I really do.
They sound amazing. I mean, it's very interesting that you say, because you knew your end goal. It does make anything you do, once you know you're doing it for a reason, because that's why so many people they just drift, because they don't know what they want or where they want to be or what they want to do. So they just they never achieve anything. You knew that you wanted to achieve something, and so you had to work out. I mean, how many people would go out and after to study till 3 o'clock in the morning, but you had your goal and you went for it, which is very commendable, very commendable. So why finance?
Yeah, so we say planned on one hand, then we look at the other side of the story. We think, well, we weren't that planned, were we? So I studied equine science, so something completely different. If you told me as a 19, 20-year-old that I was going to end up owning a business or running a business, I would have just, yeah, I'm not sure what I would have done, but I certainly didn't think that was where I was going. And I didn't think it would be finance. It was either going to be something horsey, because I like them, obviously, or something in property. And the only reason I kind of looked down the property route was that anyone I'd ever known or kind of met by that point, and there weren't that many people that had done well, seemed to have money in property. And I thought, well, what's this thing? And it kind of became this goal of, I must own a house. And I had no idea how I was going to do it. You know, I was never going to be gifted a deposit or that kind of stuff. As generous as my parents are, they didn't have the resources. And yeah, as I left uni, I bought a doer-upper. I'd saved very, very hard, kind of got into property that way. And my mortgage advisor at the time had told me and showed me that if I could refinance the property that I bought, because I was very lucky at the time I bought it, the stamp duty increase had taken effect. And I'd done a bit of work to it as well in spare time. And the value had gone up enough that I could remortgage it, rent it out as a buy-to-let, and then move on. And I thought, my goodness, if I can do this, as you know, coming from my background, then I can show other people how to do this. And I know it's a dream, it's an obsession for so many in the UK. So that's kind of why I wanted to get into it. It was really interesting to me.
Because it's a lot harder now than it used to be. I mean, when I was getting my first house, like they were like throwing mortgages at people. So now you can have like 20 quid in the bank and you get a mortgage. But it's a slightly different story now, right?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, part of me would love to have been working in that time because I just think it would be so easy. But I mean, if it was easy, people wouldn't need mortgage advisors either. So I should probably be really careful what I wish for.
So what advice would you give somebody looking to get into like property development?
So I think do your research. Really do your research. There are a lot of people that put posts out and bits and pieces on property education. Some are better than others. And speak to a mortgage advisor sooner rather than later, because I have so many clients, and we have so many clients that come to us and think, oh, I didn't come and speak to you earlier because I didn't think I was going to get a mortgage. And that might well be the case, but it's free to have a chat to us. And I love advising people early on, even if they're a few years off, just to give them a bit of a plan. Because again, like we were saying, the minute you've got some sort of plan, you know what you're working towards, and it just helps clear your head a little bit. So just don't be too embarrassed. No matter what you think you've got in the background, we've seen it all before. Just have a chat to somebody and it'll help clear your head.
So tell us a bit about Penny House. So you got your nice banner behind us. Tell us about that and how that all happened.
So I started Penny House back in 2017. So I bought my first place in 2015 before I knew anything to do with mortgages. And then my mortgage advisor showed me, as I said, just kind of what to do. And I then got fixated by the idea of doing something in property. And I was so annoying to him. I was pestering him, kind of looking at mortgages and how I could get into it. And I got my qualifications, jumped out of a good job. And then I decided that I was just going to go on my own. I should have, maybe in hindsight, gone to go and work for somebody else first. But I was very lucky that one of these, I was able to start on my own, basically. And I never thought it was going to be a company. I just thought it was going to be me helping people get mortgages and doing buy-to-lets and that kind of thing. And as it grew, as kind of clients came to me, I thought, oh, maybe I am good at my job. And so yeah, I've taken a few people on start of this year, and we took the company directly authorised with the FCA. We're very lucky to get that. And we've taken on a few advisors now since March just this year. So it's touch wood, it's going really well.
That's amazing. I mean, you've done quite a lot in quite a short time, really, haven't you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's been like a long build up, I think, in terms of kind of starting in 2017, but that was just me just working as me. And then in terms of me getting a business head on, I think it was only the end of last year, beginning of this year, I went, oh, actually, this could be a business. This could be a proper business. I'm going to actually run it. And it's been a real switch of mindset, I think, in that way, which is really refreshing. And I'm really enjoying bringing people on and having nice people around me. And it's nowhere near as lonely. It comes with different challenges and processes and things. But yeah, really enjoying it at the moment.
That's one thing I have noticed, like, and a few occasions when we've been at, you do tend to get a nice group of people around you. I'm a firm believer in, like, nice attracts nice, right? And every time I come, I always meet, it's a really eclectic mix, but always really interesting people, you know? Is that something? I mean, is that something you particularly go out to do?
No, I paid them a lot to hang around with me, you know, like in like Skittles and wine gums and stuff.
That reminds me, you owe me a tenner.
Do I actually? Sorry. Cheap date. No, so yeah, I do crazy and nice. So maybe I do attract people, but I'm really lucky to have a nice group of people around. It's I feel very, very lucky. And there's people that you meet, and then I just find them fascinating. Everyone's got a story to tell, and everyone's got experiences, and everyone's been through stuff. And those people that have learned things and just come out of it, you know, on the other side. It's just, I find them fascinating. I love learning from people. So yeah, I'm glad they want to hang around with me.
Yeah, and I really loved it because as I say, it's so eclectic, and you go into. I've always had some amazing conversations with people that you wouldn't normally run into, and that's great. I love that vibe. I love meeting people who are a little bit, not doing the same things as me, who are completely different, and just getting a little gauge on their little worlds and their life, you know. So, Megan, to Mark. So, where do you see the future of marketing?
So in terms of like the industry, it's a good question actually. Yeah. I think, yeah, in terms of, so I can only really talk about penny house, I suppose, which sounds a bit self-centered, but I wouldn't want to predict the market, only because I think far wiser people than I have tried to do it. But just in terms of what we're seeing in terms of the industry and how people are working since COVID, and you know, so seems to be lurking around, but everyone seems to be so much more open to the idea of flexible working and working at home. And the company's always been set up so that we've got a head office, but advisors and you know, anyone that wanted to join, if that was ever going to happen, which now it has, they can all work at home. And I think in terms of technology coming on, people just want answers quite quickly, and that then backs up the idea of flexible working. So instead of being and people will disagree with this, everyone's got their own opinion. Instead of being in the office kind of 9 to 5 and those being at set hours, I think having a role that means that you can work when clients need you within reason, really will shape kind of the way that things are going forward. And advisors coming into the industry will learn that way. So yeah.
Well, yeah, a lot of people are saying now there is that flexible working. You tend to do longer hours because you think, well, I'll get an early start and I'll finish, but then you're going till 9, 10 o'clock at night. Whereas if you're in the office, you might actually leave it sometime, and it also gives people license to call you at any time. Like if you're in an office, people would usually stick to office hours, but now people could be calling you 8, 9 o'clock at night. Have you found that?
I mean, I'm insane, so I mean, it's not clinically, but people, I've always worked stupid hours anyway, even when I was employed, you know, and that's just, but people do, yeah, the people do call it silly hours. The way you stop that is you don't answer the phone. So I could not answer the phone. And sometimes I don't, but I just can't help it. So I don't mind it. I really enjoy it. The minute I stop enjoying answering the phone and speaking to people about interest rates and mortgages and everything particularly geeky at 9 p.m. at night, I'll probably stop doing my job. So yeah, rod throwing back, but I love it.
Cool. See, that's good. I mean, it's good to have a passion for whatever you do. You got to love it, right? And it's obvious that you love what you do. So if you could, right, go back in time and have a nice little chat with the young Sofia, what would you say?
I don't think we can really mention any of that on this, can we? It's not quite that bad. Do you know, I've made a lot, I think I want to call them mistakes, and I will, but it's probably a better word for it. I think I've made a lot of mistakes, and I'm sure I'm going to make loads of mistakes going forward, but I don't think I would do any of it differently, because it's like the butterfly effect. I don't know if you watched that movie. You know, if you change anything, it could just affect everything else going forward. And everything that's happened, no matter how like painful it might have seemed at the time, or hard work it might have seemed at the time, or it's all shaped and led on to other things. So I just don't think I'd change any of it. So I mean, I'd probably tell myself to take my time a little bit and don't sweat the small stuff so much, because I'm pretty, you probably know this now, having met me a few times and having a chat to me, I'm pretty compulsive, and like if I get something in my head, like I have to make it happen. It has to happen. And so I'd probably say to myself, just calm down a little bit, like it'll all be fine, and just learn to embrace that.
Would you say you've calmed down a little bit and embrace it now?
I would probably give the same advice to myself now in 5 years. So probably not, because I think it's just the way that I am. And so again, I've got to kind of maybe just appreciate the fact that that's fine. Like if I want to just, if I get something in my head and I've got to do it, that's fine. And just enjoy the fact that I'm super compulsive.
Okay, right. Last question. And this is obviously for you. Where would you like to see yourself in 10 years' time? What would you like to be doing? Where would you like to be?
I don't think I plan that far ahead ever. So I think I have like little plans, and I think I'm also in a position, or just in a mindset, probably more than a position, where I'm really enjoying day to day. Like I'm just enjoying. It sounds so cheesy that I'm saying it out loud, but I'm just enjoying day-to-day life. Like I enjoy what I'm doing. I've got quite a lot of freedom. I work hard, but I like that. And if I could be in the same position, obviously a bit further on, but in terms of freedom and how I'm spending my time in 10 years, then I'll just feel very lucky, because I'm in a very lucky position now where I get time with my family and I get time with work, and that's the main thing, isn't it? It's not about money. I think the money then gets you the time and freedom that you want. And at the moment, not that I'm rich, but I feel like I've got a good balance and good freedom. So yeah, maybe now it's fine. But if I could not age 10 years as well, that'd be great.
Well, that'd be great for us all, right? Right, Sofia Jones, it's been an absolute pleasure as always talking to you. And hopefully we'll catch up again soon. And good luck with everything you do. I know you're going to be successful, because you not only are a nice person, you've got amazing drive, and you can but be successful. So thank you for having this little chat with me, and hopefully I'll see you soon.
Thank you very much for having me.